1 year ago, I did something most people told me was crazy. I quit my $210,000 a year job and became a full-time fishing YouTuber, right? No safety net, 2 kids, a mortgage, health insurance on my own, just a camera, a kayak, and a belief this thing could friggin' work. Now, there's a saying I've come to believe deeply over the last few years is that you'll never know how far you can go until you're willing to risk staying where you are. But this whole story actually started 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was out of work, and what I thought would be a 1-month job search turned into 5 months. And right after COVID, the job market was strange. Companies were unsure about the future and hiring slowed down like everywhere. So while I was at home, I started a YouTube channel. And my first video, an unboxing of a monster bass fishing box. And let me tell you, it was rough. The audio was terrible, the editing was even worse, and I probably did 20 takes just to get through it. And that video today is just sitting under 200 views. And to be honest with you, it deserves every bit of it, right? It was pretty bad. But that video started something in me because another quote stuck out with me early on. The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. Back when I watched every how to make it on YouTube video that I could find, you know the stories. One video goes viral, the channel explodes overnight, life changes instantly. And I kept thinking maybe that would happen to me. But it never did. In 5 years, I never had that one video that magically exploded and changed everything. What I had instead was something far less exciting, right? Slow, steady growth. And that reminded me of something else that's true in almost everything in life. Success usually looks boring while it's happening. Look at that. Caught a fish while trying to goof around with some geese. Little guy in the Z-Man Gobius. Now, about 4.5 years ago, my wife and I started having conversations. Those conversations sounded a little like this. Darren, how much money are we actually spending on this YouTube thing? Cameras, fishing gear, lures, rods, reels, kayaks. I mean, it adds up. So I set a goal. The goal wasn't fame. It wasn't millions of views, just one milestone, monetization. If I can monetize and pay for the hobby, it would be a win, right? And so I needed 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in a given year. That was the target. And being a VP of philanthropy and a professional fundraiser for 15 years, projections was literally my job. So I ran the numbers. If I pushed hard, I figured I could hit it in 6 months. And eventually I did. And I learned something important during that time. Small wins build momentum. The first YouTube check wasn't huge. It might have been 10 to 20 bucks. Honestly, I don't even remember. But something important happened over time. The channel actually started paying for itself. The gear, the gas, the expenses, all covered. And then after a few months, started to do a little bit more than that. And that's when my projection brain kicked in again. And I thought to myself, if I treated this like a part-time job, there might be a future where I can go full-time, where I can wake up and I could go fishing like I did this morning. And not because it was the weekend, but because it was my job, or better yet, it was my life. And that idea kept reminding me of something. If you work on your dreams part-time long enough, one day they can become your full-time reality, right? So I talked with my wife, she supported it, but we also knew something. Making that jump is terrifying when you're the breadwinner, right? When you have kids who depend on you. And I wasn't talking about saying I'm a full-time fishing creator while secretly working 6 other jobs. I meant all in. Fishing, YouTube, building something real. But here's the reality. When you're making $210,000 a year, walking away from that is brutal, right? We took a 75% pay cut. You take on your own health insurance. You take on your own self-employment taxes. It's the kind of risk that stops most people before they even try. And honestly, I understand why, right? Because comfort is powerful. But in the same breath, I also believe that comfort is the enemy of growth. I spent 15 years in nonprofit fundraising, helping raise tens of millions of dollars for other people in need. And I don't regret that chapter in my life at all. It was meaningful, right? It was rewarding, and I'm incredibly proud of the impact that we were able to make. But for once in my life, I wanted to go all in on Darren Wendell. Just once. I wanted to bet on myself. And the truth is, I felt pretty confident doing it. Because over the years, I've already done a few things that taught me how to push through hard moments. I hiked the entire Appalachian Trail, right? I ran 100 marathons in 100 days across the United States. I cycled solo across America. I'm an Ironman. I swam 50.6 nonstop miles across Lake Michigan. I've climbed Mount Kilimanjaro 3 times. And all those experiences has taught me something important. When things get hard, I don't quit, right? I figure it out. I push forward. And I knew deep down that if I never took this chance, if I never gave this dream a real shot, that would be something that I regret for the rest of my life. So for 4 years, I saved money, I prepared for the jump, I reduced the risk for my family as much as I possibly could, but I actually pulled the trigger 1 year earlier than I planned because the stress on my job was getting real. In 8 months before I left, 2 people where I worked had heart attacks, right? And one night I told my wife something that really stuck with me. I was like, hey babe, we make great money, but at this rate, I might not be healthy enough to enjoy it with you in 5 to 10 years, right? Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, money can be replaced. Time can't. So I recalculated everything. The projection said we would probably lose $20,000 a year for the first 2 years while we figured out our new normal. But we had our life savings. So 1 year ago, I quit my job. I started my life as a full-time fishing content creator. Now, let me be very clear about something. I am nowhere close to making what I made as a fundraiser. That is for sure. We had to scale back a lot as a family to make this happen. My wife stepped up in a big way. She doubled down on her woodworking side hustle and YouTube channel while also being an incredible stay-at-home mom. And this has truly been a family effort. But here's what I do know. 5 years ago, I had 0 followers, right? 0 fans, 0 money, 0 views, 0 engagement. And 5 years later, guys, we've built something, right? And YouTube alone, we've reached some numbers that honestly still blow my mind. 26.5 million views, 879,000 watch hours. That's over 100 years of people watching this channel. And I still remember when 4,000 watch hours felt impossible. And along the way, we built an incredible YouTube community of over 75,000 subscribers. And that momentum, it didn't stop there. I was even able to launch 2 additional YouTube channels. Both of them should be monetized by the end of the month. And that's just YouTube, right? That doesn't include the audience across Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, or the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast, which is just coming up on 250,000 listens. And along the way, something else incredible happened. A friend of mine, Hoover, and I started a business called KFAST, Kayak Fishing Advanced Safety Training, because we realized that if this sport is going to keep growing, right, we need to make sure it stays safe for generations of anglers to come. And that's the crazy thing about this journey. What started as one terrible YouTube video with 200 views has turned into something much bigger than I ever imagined. And through AdSense and partner deals and sponsorships and all the different ways creators stack their revenue, I managed to eke out a living this past year. And honestly, I don't think I've ever worked harder in my entire life. But here's the crazy part. My truck died this year, I had to buy another one, and somehow we still washed out financially. I didn't lose the $20,000 I projected, which means that risk I took, the one that scared me for years, turned out to be one of the best decisions of my life. Now, don't get me wrong, corporate America has its perks. It's safe money, right? Health insurance, retirement plans, a steady paycheck every 2 weeks. But that security comes with a cost most people never talk about. Your time really isn't yours. Your calendar gets filled with meetings that could have been emails. You spend hours building PowerPoints that no one really watches. You sit in performance reviews where someone who hasn't done your job in 10 years decides how well you did it. You learn quickly that office politics matter more than actual results. And you watch talented people get passed over while the best meeting talkers climb the ladder. And the weirdest part about it all, everyone acts like this is normal. Normal to ask permission to take a day off. Normal to spend half your waking life working on somebody else's dream. Normal to wait 30 to 40 years before you are allowed to enjoy life. You start counting your life in weekends and vacation days, and Mondays show up and the countdown starts all over again. I lived that life. And 1 year ago, I said goodbye to that life. And today, I'm healthier. I enjoy what I do. I'm a lot more enjoyable to be around, right? And tomorrow morning, I might go fishing. Not because it's Saturday, because this is my life now. And so if you're someone watching this who dreams about becoming a content creator, someone who wants to build something around what you love instead of a job that you hate, I want you to hear this, right? There is hope. It's not going to happen overnight. In fact, it almost never does. It will likely take years and a lot of videos. I think I have 2,600 uploaded videos, which require late nights and early mornings, and uploading videos that get 37 views and wondering if anybody actually cares. But I truly believe this. Consistently beats talent when talent doesn't stay consistent. And I've told people for years, I'm not usually the smartest guy in the room, right? Unless it's me and my buddy Chad Hoover, then I am. But I'm usually the last one standing. And sometimes that's what makes the difference. Not talent, not luck, just simply refusing to quit. So if that's you, someone willing to keep showing up and keep learning and keep creating, then you might be exactly the kind of person the creator economy was built for. Treat your passion like a part-time job for 5 years and you can build something real. Because 5 years ago, this channel had 0 followers, 0 views, 0 community, just a guy with a camera and a love for fishing. And the craziest part, it all started with one video that almost nobody watched.